haven't won the title in England since 1927. New UEFA devised competition is just below the Europa League, but I asked you earlier, David, about what would be more important to Newcastle, a domestic trophy or the Champions League. I don't think the answer to whether West Ham would rather win the Conference League or suffer relegation is very difficult to answer, is it?
No, I mean, look, they came really close, didn't they, against Eintracht Frankfurt? When was that, last season? Semi-finals, just fell short. But, you know, obviously this has been a backward step this season. But, you know, the owners have stuck with David, and I'm sure he'll be really keen to repay that faith. And as I said, I don't think they're far away from climbing up this table, although, make no mistake, this is a difficult game for them.
As you mentioned, David Moyes, a couple of clean sheets help, one in the cup, one in the league. So if they can keep doing that, there's a platform to build on. They do have a decent goal difference, West Ham, compared to the other teams above them. They are currently just above Everton, who had a fantastic win in Sean Dyche's first game in charge against the leaders Arsenal earlier today. If West Ham were to win today, they could catapult themselves up into 14th place above Nottingham Forest. We're underway. Newcastle are wearing black and white, of course. West Ham are wearing claret and blue, of course. The referee today is Peter Banks. There is a terrific atmosphere and just a sense of optimism and a feel-good factor around St James's Park at the moment.
Well, there is. Saying that, a good start from Newcastle. They faked to go long from the kickoff, but played the ball back.
Willock has got an injury. He's knocked his knee.
Yeah, and as they played a long ball up top to Willock, suddenly he's holding his thigh, but, well, he's out. It looks like he's okay.
Here's Trippier down the line. Almiron cuts it back. It's Willock. And it's in.
That's clearly off the pitch.
Goodness me. Joe Willock, 40 seconds into the game, has put Newcastle in front. He was hobbling a moment ago. The ball was worked through. Almiron cut it back. Willock swept it into the net. He's a player who enjoys scoring against West Ham. He's got a couple of goals against them in the past. And on what's been a sensational week for Newcastle United, they've made a sensational start against West Ham. It's Newcastle 1, West Ham 0.
Well,
but we're just checking whether the ball was over the line when it was cut back into that path of Willock to sweep it in. I don't think it's going to count. I think the ball's over the line. It looks conclusive. We're looking at a still of it. The ball has gone out of play before it was so expertly cut back by Miguel Almiron, and that goal, I'm pretty certain, will not count.
Well, you heard me say as soon as he cut the ball back, that was off. That looked completely over the line. That was pretty clear.
Goal kick is signalled, so a reprieve for West Ham United.
Why did that need VAR, John? Because I could clearly see that. You could see that. I mean, the line's assistant referee is on the opposite. No, he's on the near side. He's right beside that. Well, I mean, why do they need VAR for that? I mean,
I don't mind that because that is a matter of fact, isn't it? It's a matter of fact. It's not an interpretation of anything. The ball is over the line. We saw it in the World Cup with Japan, didn't it? It was Matoma, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In that game where he cut it back and it was, there's another chance. West Ham have conceded immediately again. This time it'll count. It's Callum Wilson running onto a through ball. What an extraordinary start at St James's Park. They thought they'd scored in the opening minute. They have now scored in the third minute. And Callum Wilson has galloped onto a through ball, which bisected the West Ham defence, and with his left foot has stroked it past Lucas Fabianski. And it is Newcastle 1, West Ham 0.
Well, what a calm, composed finish. I mean, Fabianski clears the ball long, and then they win the first header. Mikel Antonio can't quite get hold of it. They lose the ball in the middle of the park, and it's a fantastic ball through by Sean Longstaff, and then Callum Wilson, so calm and composed, sets the ball outside the outstretched reach of Fabianski. He is onside, it is tight. Superb run from Callum Wilson in between the two centre-halves and just strokes it past the goalkeeper. Fabulous finish with his left foot.
It's the 10th time that Callum Wilson has scored against West Ham in his career. It's the third time he's done it for Newcastle, but he loves playing against them. He's never scored more goals against any other club. And he once got a hat-trick for Bournemouth against West Ham in a 4-3 thriller. And he's done it again. It's his 7th goal of the season, although he hasn't scored for a while. His first in 11 games. But what a start. They've had 1 goal chalked off Newcastle, but that one will count. And here they come again with Almiron. And West Ham are completely shell-shocked at the moment. Trippier plays the ball in. It's intercepted, and it's knocked upfield by Kehrer. And you can just hear the roar from the Geordies inside this stadium. They are absolutely loving life at the moment. And Callum Wilson has given them more reason to sing their songs. But here's Mikel Antonio. Can he get West Ham back in it quickly? No, good tackle on the edge of the box by Fabian Schär. And Almiron has it again. What an improved player Almiron is. And the ball's gone over the line again, just as Almiron was trying to get down that right-hand side.
Some start, John, isn't it?
Yeah.
End to end. I mean, David Moyes is out of his seat because he knows they have started so slowly, and it's cost them a goal already. I mean, do you know what? It started from the kickoff. Now, even winning the toss can be important, but Newcastle got the kickoff. They deceived West Ham that they were going to bang it long. Instead, took it short, worked their way through the West Ham team. And since then, they haven't kind of recovered West Ham. I mean, you know, they've been so sloppy. The tempo the home team have started with here, they've really harnessed the crowd and attacked West Ham, got their goal. And, well, it's a mountain to climb now for the Hammers.
Callum Wilson played in the World Cup for England, of course. Set up a goal unselfishly for Jack Grealish in the opening win against Iran. His goal-scoring form at club level hasn't been that impressive recently, so he'll be thrilled to have got a goal. His manager will be delighted as well, and so too will the fans. That's handball surely against Ben Rama as he tried to control it close to the Newcastle goal line. It'll be a free kick to the Magpies, who've only lost 1 of the last 6 games against West Ham. That was last season here, actually, in a 4-2 defeat. That's their only big win against West Ham lately, but it's a fixture that has produced a lot of goals recently. 13 goals in the last 3 meetings. We've had a 4-2 and a 3-2. A win, of course, would put Newcastle on goal difference above Manchester United in 3rd place in the table, hunting that top 4 finish. Haven't played in the Champions League for just short of 20 years, but I mean, the feel-good factor around Newcastle at the moment hasn't really been seen since that season under Kevin Keegan in 95-96 when they claimed so close to winning the title.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just an example of their work rate there was Callum Wilson chasing down Soufal, who ran about 50-60 yards, got close to the Newcastle box and just put a dreadful ball, hung it up. You know, an easy claim for Nick Pope, and they've got to do a lot more than that, West Ham, when they get the ball. Just a sign, though, of how hard Newcastle are working all over the pitch, hunting West Ham down. Here they are again.
Ball is at the feet of Fabianski, who has to be quick because he's under pressure from Wilson. He gets the ball up towards halfway. Dan Burn, a giant of a man, a Geordie, through and through, supported the club as a boy. Gets the ball back to goalkeeper Nick Pope, who pretty much touches it for the first time, really. Back to Burn. I mean, quite a feature of Newcastle's success. It seems obvious to say this, is that, you know, they are playing an attractive brand of football, and for all the 300 million that's been thrown at the club, it doesn't automatically wave a magic wand. But what Eddie Howe has done is he's brought in very good players. He hasn't brought in stellar names, but he's brought in very good players, and he seems to have got magic out of the boots of Almiron and Joe Linton, for example, which not too many of us might have predicted.
Yeah, but they're doing the hard yards as well. There's Joe Linton again, just tracking back, you know, really working really hard. And we've seen Callum Wilson, you know, the great intensity and work rate about him.
Here's Emerson for West Ham United, who need to find a way back now. The worst possible start for them. But for an inch or so, they'd be 2-0 down. They were fortunate to see that ball cross the line before it was cut back for Willock to score a goal that was ultimately disallowed, correctly so. Here's Antonio driving forward. There were rumours that he wanted to leave West Ham. He cuts it back across the face of goal. There's no one there in a claret shirt. It has come out to Paquetá, though. And will this be a corner for West Ham? No, they've kept the ball in play. Paquetá again, the Brazilian, but he's robbed there by Saint-Maximin, who's driven the ball forward up towards Wilson to chase, and Wilson's got the pace to get there ahead of Thilo Kehrer. It's Callum Wilson for Newcastle United. Still has it, edge of the penalty area. But Agbonna is covering to get the ball away for West Ham United. 9 minutes played. Newcastle 1, West Ham 0. West Ham would stay fourth from bottom with only goal difference separating them and Everton, who have had a terrific day under Sean Dyche. James Tarkowski's goal against the league leaders Arsenal, giving them a win which I don't think too many would have predicted, but it was not a good result for West Ham, nor was Wolves beating Liverpool 3-0, although defeats for Southampton and Bournemouth mean that those two South Coast clubs are in the bottom two places at the moment. Here's Dan Burn for Newcastle, pushes it forward to Joe Linton. Oh, there was a worry that they might quite strongly miss Guimaraes, and they will in many ways, because he's the sort of metronomic force in the midfield. But I mean, they haven't missed him yet here, have they?
No, I mean, Longstaff obviously popped up with a couple of goals against Southampton. He's in the middle of the park today.
Lovely ball for the goal for Wilson, wasn't it, by him? Ball's knocked out of play for West Ham by Aguirre, the Moroccan international. Here's Longstaff sweeping it away towards Saint-Maximin. It's headed away by Vladimir Soufal, but only as far as Joe Linton. Now it's Saint-Maximin in for the injured Guimaraes. Longstaff. Here's Kieran Trippier, one of the superb signings that Newcastle have made. He finds Almiron wearing bright orange boots, the Paraguayan. Now Trippier again. Now it's Joe Willock. Newcastle keeping the ball well here, but they're not making too much progress. They're still about 25 yards from goal. West Ham have nicked possession back through Emerson, the former Chelsea left back, and the ball is swept forward. Emerson playing as a wing back today with three in midfield. There's been so much going on in the opening 10 minutes. I haven't given you the full team lineups. I will when we get a pause in play. Here's Joe Linton finding Willock as Newcastle look to double up. This is Almiron. Trippier's further out wide. Back it comes to Willock. First time cross swept in. Dangerous 1-2. Good header by Ogbonna. Not completely clear though for West Ham. Saint-Maximin will keep it in on the far side. Diagonal ball to Longstaff. 1-2 with Joe Linton. And now Willock. This is terrific football from Newcastle. Trippier keeps it in on this near side with Willock's ball slightly overhit. Lovely chip ball forward towards Almiron, who gets a foot to it, and it plops into the hands of Fabianski. Newcastle have Nick Pope in goal. A back four of Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Sven Botman and Dan Burn. Across midfield, Sean Longstaff, Joe Linton and Chris Willock, with Joe Linton dropping back to fill the gap left by Guimaraes. Miguel Almiron, Callum Wilson, the goal scorer, and Alain Saint-Maximin are up front for the Magpies. For the Hammers, Lucas Fabianski in goal. It's a back three, Thilo Kehrer, Angelo Ogbonna and Naif Aguirre. The midfield four is Vladimir Soufal, Lucas Paquetá, Declan Rice and Emerson up front. Jared Bowen, Said Benrahma and Michail Antonio. We've seen nothing of Bowen yet. Here's Antonio, though, edge of the box shoots. It's blocked by Botman. Comes out to Rice. Here's Paquetá into the Newcastle box. Header away by Trippier. And it finds Almiron, who in turn finds Willock, and Newcastle neatly, it seems, managed to get the ball away. Burns chip ball forward. It clips off a West Ham player. It's gone out of play, I think. It's going to be a throw-in to West Ham. We've had 12 minutes. And such has been the action. I haven't even had time to look at the screen with your tweets on it. But do let us know where you are and what you're thinking about the game via Twitter at TalkSport Live. Here's Antonio. Burn does well. Good covering. In fact, it was Botman, actually, who stuck out a leg, got there in time. Burn tries to clear. The ball goes behind. It's a goal kick to Newcastle United.
Good defending again, isn't it? That time from Botman. Him and Schär have marked really, really aggressively on Michail Antonio, not giving him an inch. Found it hard to get in the game, isn't it, so far?
Well, we've got a close-up on our monitors of the goal scorer, Callum Wilson, and we're getting another look at the goal. As you say, it was a clearance by Fabianski. Joe Linton initially won the ball. Longstaff, super pass, and Wilson was just able to completely get between the two defenders, Kehrer and Ogbonna, And it was a sort of finish that you'd expect a centre forward to make, but sometimes you were one. When the goals aren't coming, it doesn't always work out that way. But he took it very calmly, didn't he?
He did, bearing down on goal. Opened out his body to use his left foot, didn't use his right, and a sign of an accomplished striker that he's able to use both feet like that.
Here's Emerson for West Ham on halfway, near side. He's been fouled by Almiron. It's going to be a free kick to West Ham United. Newcastle looking to stretch an unbeaten run of 15 games in the Premier League. 17 is a club record in the league for them. They also haven't conceded a first half goal in 16 games, which is incredible. They are the most miserly defence in the Premier League, Newcastle. Here's Emerson driving down the left-hand side for West Ham. It's a good run. He tries to slip it through. It's intercepted, though, for Newcastle by young Longstaff, who's been absolutely terrific. What a week he's had. He doesn't get many goals. He's only got 4 this season, so he doubled his tally with that brace against Southampton. But he's terrific in midfield, especially with, as you say, Guimaraes not there. There's more responsibility on his shoulders, isn't there? Yeah,
and now they got the goal. I mean, there's no doubt he'll be the one screening the ball in and around, getting into the front of Mikel Antonio.
Another club record that Newcastle could set would be 7 games without conceding a goal. The last time they conceded was against Southampton. When hang on, there's a chance here for West Ham, and the shot is hit hard by Paquetá, and it's floored a Newcastle defender, and the referee rightly stops because it hit him in the head. Alexander Isak actually is missing from the Newcastle squad today, because in that game against Southampton he was struck in the face by a James Ward-Prowse shot, and that's why he's not in the squad. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit Sven Botman straight plumb in the face from about 10 yards away, so this one will hurt, that's for sure.
Last man to score against Newcastle in the Premier League was Romain Perrault for Southampton on November the 6th. 9 hours and 17 minutes ago in footballing terms. So,
well, they've also got the little shot here of Jamal Lascelles warming up. So, I mean, they do have strength in depth, Newcastle.
Yep.
I mean, despite,
well, Matt Ritchie's on the bench. Anthony Gordon, they've just signed, is on the bench. Ryan Fraser, Jacob Murphy, they're all experienced players, along with the youngster Elliot Anderson, who I know Eddie Howe has high hopes for. Game is just in a lull at the moment. Warren B is with us. Good afternoon from Memphis, Tennessee. Football time, driving to Los Angeles. Newcastle to win by 3. Lee Hart driving through Sandport, northern Idaho. After today, Leeds must win tomorrow. Nice picture of a lake. It looks pretty cold there, I would imagine. It's warmed up considerably in England, although they're hardy folk up north, aren't they? Particularly in Newcastle, it's the tradition. It doesn't matter what the weather is. They wear T-shirts on a Saturday night. Well, they don't wear coats.
No, although he's wearing a coat. There's a shot of Bruno Guimaraes.
He's not a Geordie.
No, he's in the crowd wearing a coat, and he's got looks like a little baby with him as well, and the blanket. I think the blanket should be on the baby, but I think Bruno's got it over his legs.
That's poor parenting, it has to be said.
Well, like you say, he's not a Geordie, so he probably is feeling the cold.
He's banned for 3. The good news is he won't be banned for the cup final, because they've got league games between now and then, Newcastle. So that's good news. I think he was rightly red carded. It was a nasty one, wasn't it, against Southampton. Here's Saint-Maximin, the man who has replaced Guimaraes with a little rejig. Not a regular starter under Eddie Howe. Saint-Maximin, he's got 1 goal in his last 32 games, but he is a player who can produce the unexpected. Here's Declan Rice for West Ham United. More stories linking him with other clubs as he manages to find Ben Rama, who gets it into the Newcastle box, but Botman, who's fully recovered from that bang in the face, I'm glad to say, is able to get the ball away. Here's Longstaff. Interesting family, the Longstaffs. There's Matty, of course, his brother, who was at Newcastle. And their father, David, was a Great Britain ice hockey goalkeeper in his prime. Here's Saint-Maximin. 18 minutes gone. 1-0 Newcastle. They've given the ball away here, though, and it'll be knocked forward by West Ham, only as far as Botman, who switches the play to the near side. Kieran Trippier controls it neatly and plays the ball to Longstaff again in the centre of midfield. This is Almiron, and now Trippier once more. And Newcastle, they're comfortable on the ball, aren't they? They're not always looking for that killer pass. They're getting a feel of the ball, knocking it around the park. It's now on the left-hand side. This is a long ball forward up towards Callum Wilson, who's trying to get the better of Bond. He's claiming a handball there, Callum Wilson. And if it is, it's inside the box. I don't know if VAR will have a look at that. Wilson is pointing at his hand as if to suggest that the West Ham man has handled inside the area. We'll get a look at it here. No, I don't think he did.
Well, it's difficult to see even on the replay there. I mean, because they got the goal lead, they're able to take their time, aren't they, and play the ball out, Newcastle, but know that they've got that longer pass up to the likes of Callum Wilson, who's a strong, powerful runner. Joelinton as well. You know, they've got some speedsters, say Maximan, Almiron. You know, they've got some quick players in that front part of the pitch. So, you know, they can take their time, stroke it around at the back, but know that if they do need to go long, they've got the pace to hurt West Ham in behind.
Just under 20 minutes gone. Here's Trippier for Newcastle, leading by a 1-0, scored by Callum Wilson on 3 minutes. And they're looking pretty comfortable. Antonio's had a couple of darts forward for West Ham, and that's just about it. Here come Newcastle again. Sam Maximan, far side. Lovely control from him, and he's into the box. It's a useful-looking cross. Header away is by Emerson. It'll drop for Ben Rama, who hooks it on the volley all the way back. Longstaff with a nice guided header, though, finds Trippier and picks it up again. He's playing with confidence, Sean Longstaff, at the moment. Wants the ball, doesn't he? Still... local boy, 25 years old, Longstaff. Here come Newcastle again. Can't find Wilson on this occasion. Trippier has it again. He's seen plenty of the ball on this right-hand side. He's got Almiron to one side, Longstaff to the other. Longstaff's 2 goals were both struck really well, both early on for Newcastle before Che Adams got one back, but they hang on for a 2-1 win, 3-1 on aggregate. They'll face Manchester United on Sunday, February the 26th at Wembley. That's a repeat of the 1999 FA Cup final, which they lost to goals by Teddy Sheringham and Paul Scholes, as United completed the second leg of their treble that year. Here's Mikel Antonio. He's wearing gloves. And blocked by Dan Burn, who flicks it out of play. It's a West Ham throw level with the edge of the penalty area on the far side, but it's wasted by Antonio. Joelinton nips in, but they will get another throw now. And Antonio has gone for that, but it's nodded away by Fabian Schär. Here's Joelinton. It's a nice ball. And Trippier almost stumbled over. He's been fouled there by Emerson, surely. He's holding his ankle, Trippier. The home fans are incensed. Emerson is protesting his innocence, but it will be a free kick.
I think he got away with this, Trippier, because, you know, he had a bit of a misplaced touch. He slipped, lost his foot in, and Emerson just came in. And he did take him out from behind, to be honest. But he was pretty close to... he might have got a touch of the ball on that, actually, Emerson. I think he was a lucky boy there, Trippier. He's a lucky boy. And maybe Newcastle have had a couple of things go their way as the home team so far.
David Moyes is up on his feet, conducting operations. They haven't really got anywhere near Nick Pope, who's kept 6 consecutive clean sheets in the Premier League and has thus far, with a quarter of this game now having been completed, continued that run. He'll be very, very keen to make it 7 clean sheets in a row, which would be a club record. Here's Rice for West Ham. And now Emerson, just inside the Newcastle half, but he's gone back to find Ogbonna. West Ham haven't won in 8 Premier League away games since they defeated Villa back in August. That's their only home win. 5 points from 10 home games is the meagre return that David Moyes has managed. Now then, is Declan Rice just holding his back? I think he'll be all right. He's got his hand on his sort of lower back area as if he's got a knock there. West Ham must improve their away form. It's dismal, isn't it?
Well, it is, but you know, it's a tough job coming to places like this. Just looking at some of the players puffing their cheeks out, Antonio there, Declan Rice feeling on his back. I mean, Yeah, that's credit to Newcastle, who've just worked them so hard here.
They've only scored 6 times away from home this season in the league. Anthony Gordon is warming up for Newcastle, who joined them from Everton. Young attacking midfield player is getting applauded by the Geordie fans on that far side. In comes the ball, it's headed down, and it's over the top and just wide. Well, it was a real chance for Newcastle. It was toe-poked over the crossbar.
I tell you what, a more subtle touch here from Fabian Schär.
And he might have been just offside.
Maybe, but he just got there, stole
he
it
did
in.
all he could, really.
Yeah, he got ahead of Fabianski, but he's got too much on the touch. He just needed a little delicate lift here over the goalie, and it was a bit too heavy.
Yeah, he lifted it over him and wide of the post, but that was another chance for Newcastle. 24 minutes played. Fabian Schär aiming to get what would only be his second goal of the season, and his first since the opening day when they beat Nottingham Forest. What a season it's been since then for Newcastle United. If they win, they'll be third in the Premier League. I expect them to finish in the top 4. I can't think of any reason why they wouldn't.
Well, they've given themselves a great chance. I mean, there's some super teams in and around them, but...
Well, if you look at, Chelsea dropping points last night, Liverpool losing today, Tottenham Hotspur have a tough one against Manchester City. So if Newcastle win this game, it could be a very, very significant weekend for them. And they've only lost one game all season. That was at Liverpool. It was a long time ago. Here's Almiron. That's a clever ball. And now it's Longstaff centre midfield. Finds Joe Linton with that bleached top to his hair. Finding Saint-Maximin. Burns on the overlap. Tries to cut it back. It's intercepted by Rice, who manages to find Bowen, who I don't think we've mentioned once in the opening 25 minutes. He's not seen the ball at all, has he?
Well, no, he's just found it hard to get in the game. Dan Burn on the overlap there. That was a good passage of play. Starts so with Mikel Antonio losing possession. Ball comes up to him. He hasn't seen that much of it, but just secure it. Just relieve a bit of pressure for your team. No need to play a one-touch layoff and risk losing possession on the halfway line. That's exactly what happened. And, in the end, Newcastle have a final third entry and get into the West Ham box. So he's got to make sure he looks after that ball.
25 minutes gone. West Ham will have a free kick, which will be taken by their goalkeeper, Łukasz Fabianski, 37 years of age now. Got 2 young goalkeepers on the bench. There's no Areola today. Christian Hegyi and Joseph Anang. With the greatest respect, David Moyes will be hoping they don't get called into action in this one. Here's Joe Linton out to Byrne, who managed to manoeuvre his way beyond Lucas Paquetá. David Connolly's reaching for his tissues. I don't know if you can tell, but both David and I have been suffering from colds this week. Hopefully you'll be able to hear us fairly well. We won't be spluttering our way through.
I thought you were reaching for the tissues as if I was crying as a former Ham man losing. No.
No, you're just blowing your nose. Here's Longstaff in centre midfield for Newcastle. He's been very lively today. He's got an assist to his name as well to add to the 2 goals he got in midweek. Willock, who thought he'd opened the scoring just before Callum Wilson actually did. 27 minutes played. And very happy, largely, St James's Park. West Ham fans are here in numbers, of course. It's a strange away situation, isn't it? Newcastle are extraordinarily high up.
Yeah. Right
up in the gods.
If you're the away fans.
Yeah, if you're away fans, to our left-hand side. Here's Joe Linton. Strong tackle, though, and West Ham have won the ball back. And here's Antonio finding Rice. And now Ben Rama! And he's got his shot all wrong. He's lifted the ball with his right foot way over the crossbar. And it sails into the crowd behind that goal.
They should have done better here. I mean, they steal the ball. I think it's a fair challenge here from Tufal on Joe Linton. You would say Ben Rama, all the space is on the outside to the left for Ben Rama. He brings the ball back in field, and really, if that was a left footer, he's got about 20 yards to go and attack down the left-hand side and maybe rifle it across goal with his left foot, but brought it inside onto his favoured right and tried to bend it into the far corner, but got far too much on it. And he's one of those players who I don't think has delivered for
No, I would agree.
For David Moyes. I think they found it difficult to find a position for him. Is he a number 10? I don't think so. Is he a wide man? No. They've never really replaced Jesse Lingard in that 10 role.
No,
but Ben Rama certainly isn't that man. And Pakatari's not that man. Pakatari's playing as a centre mid, a holding mid beside Declan Rice. So he's not an attacking force, if you want. And he wants to dictate from deep.
Ben Rama currently preferred to Fornals, which I think a few West Ham fans have their eyebrows raised about maybe. And it's a free kick to West Ham, just inside the Newcastle half, conceded by Sven Botman, the rangy 23-year-old Dutchman.
I mean, it's almost like with Paquetá now. I think West Ham could probably sell Declan Rice because I'm not sure they need the pair of them because, it means there's no place for Souček either. So it's a difficult balancing act, I think, because of where Paquetá wants to play.
Joelinton misplaces his pass. It's intercepted by Emerson. Paquetá is in centre midfield, midway inside the Newcastle half and plays the ball out to side Ben Rama. Ben Rama looking to get to the byline. No, he hasn't. I thought he'd been tripped by Trippier, and Trippier looked to the referee, and the referee pointed goal kick.
Well, to me, he does a little step over here. And does he touch thighs with Trippier? I think he might have done.
I think he was clipped.
Yeah, I think it should have been a free kick. Maybe his reputation might have got
definitely. Well,
got the better of him. We've seen it 3 times now. We're
still not sure. So you have sympathy with Peter Banks. I know not everyone always has sympathy for referees, but it's not easy.
It's not. However, I think that's the 3rd or 4th decision that has gone Newcastle's way, and sometimes that happens when you're away from home. You're 1-0 down. The crowd's there, so it's not really going West Ham's way at the minute, isn't it?
We've had half an hour. Here's Bowen. It's a useful-looking ball. Rice is onto it and driving forward at pace and finding Ben Rama on this left-hand side. He in turn picks out Emerson. Emerson cuts infield. And there's a long shot from Paquetá. It's blocked in the box. Bowen tries to get on it. Paquetá does in the end and drives it wide. I think it might have taken a deflection. That's the closest West Ham have come. It was all rather scruffy. There were shots blocked. Newcastle couldn't clear. In the end, it came out to Paquetá. Maybe there wasn't a deflection, but it went wide of the post by about a foot.
Well, it looks like he might have got the corner.
It did, yeah. He hit the underside of, I think it was Botman. It's a corner to West Ham.
It's a bit better, though, because they had, Paquetá getting in around the box, Declan Rice high up the pitch. They're committing players to the box, which is important.
It's the first corner of the game for either side. Rice is going to take it, the England international. As I said, he's been very much linked with a potential move in the summer. He was linked with a potential move in the window, but that didn't come off. 31 minutes played then. Declan Rice with a free kick. Oh, he goes across everybody, and he's put in. Paquetá has stabbed it into the net. The corner looked to have eluded everyone, but Paquetá controlled and then drove it low past Nick Pope, who is beaten for the first time in 9 hours and 32 minutes. And West Ham United have got themselves back into this game. That could be a very, very important goal indeed by the Brazilian. It's Newcastle 1. West Ham 1.
Well, it's an excellent ball towards the near post. Great run across the near. I think it's by Agard. Gets a little nick on it. Falls at the feet of Paquetá, who just came off the back post. Lovely bit of movement, and he read this flick on. He was tussling with Kieran Trippier at the back post. Got free of him. Just popped up by his thigh. Controlled it really well. And then side-footed it through Trippier's legs. And then it went through Nick Pope's legs as well. And then nestled nicely into the bottom corner. And a triple somersault to boot as well.
It's a fantastic celebration, isn't it? And he's got 10 out of 10 for the gymnastic judges there. 10 out of 10 from David Moyes as well. He's punching the air in absolute delight. Newcastle won't be delighted about that goal. They've been so good defensively. But it was a bit of a mess. Here's Ben Rama. They're looking for another West Ham, but it's a poor ball by the Algerian, and Pope has it in his hand. So finally that long run is over. 9 hours and 32 minutes or 33 minutes depending on how you look at it, and Newcastle will not set a record of 7 consecutive clean sheets. More importantly, they might not go into 3rd place unless they win this game. They're at the right end at the moment, but Wilson's lost it, and then Newcastle give it away. Here's Joelinton finding Almiron. Will Newcastle be able to react quickly? Trippier flicks it down the line. Almiron judges the ball, and I think has that just crossed the line for a corner, or have West Ham rescued it and got a throw? I think it might be a throw. It was Naif Aguer, the Moroccan, who prevented the corner. It'll be a throw-in. 33 minutes gone. Trippier for Newcastle finds Joe Willock. Willock plays a square ball across midfield to Longstaff. Saint-Maximin is on the far side, but so too is Vladimir Sofal, who gets there first and prods the ball out of play. Saint-Maximin looks completely different with his shorn locks, doesn't he? He doesn't have the headband anymore. He's got, by his standards, a fairly conventional hairstyle these days. Here's Almiron finding Trippier. Right-hand side, 20 yards from goal. Tries to guide it through to Almiron. It flicks off Emerson. It'll be a throw into Newcastle United. The likes of Manchester United and Manchester City and Arsenal will be pleased to see West Ham equalising here in the battle for Champions League places.
Well, I did a little piece with TalkSport in Ireland before the game, and I felt they asked for the score. I said I think it'll be 1-1.
Did you?
But we still have a long way to go. So I thought it might be quite low scoring. I mean, but both teams have really gone for it here. So very open game, and credit to West Ham, because the first time really we've seen them in the game so far get enough players up in and around the box and put pressure on it, and they got a goal.
Yeah, it's one apiece now, all to play for. It could be a precious point for West Ham. You just sense with their dismal away form, they'd probably, especially at a place like this, be fairly happy with a point, but they'll want all three, I'm sure. As it stands, Newcastle would be in third place, and West Ham United would stay fourth from bottom. Ball is on the far side. There's a tussle for possession. Newcastle win it. Longstaff plays it into Willock. Now there's support from Trippier. Trippier's got Almiron near side, almost at the corner flag. Thinks about a cross, but plays it short instead to Willock. Willock finds Kieran Trippier. Trippier, the England man, rolls it back to Joe Willock again. And Newcastle work it across midfield. Here's Longstaff inside the centre circle, just inside the West Ham half. Trippier has it again near side, under pressure from Emerson, but manages to steer it back to Botman, who finds Trippier once more. And finally, West Ham intercept through Rice. Here's Emerson, that's a good ball. Ben Rama comes forward. He's got Bowen and Antonio making tracks in a forward motion as well, but Ben Rama has gone for a shot himself. Dreadful. It's a poor option. He's dragged it wide.
Dreadful,
and John. The West Ham fans aren't happy.
What a waste, because they picked off Newcastle's pass really well, and then they broke. And they had 3-4 players in the box. He could have slipped in Declan Rice. He could have put Jared Bowen in. In the end, he's gone for goal himself, and he's dragged it horribly wide. I mean, that is Ben Rama in a nutshell. We said it earlier. His end product has been so far below the level required. They've got to do more with those breaks, and it all comes down to decision making on the ball. And Ben Rama too often makes the wrong one.
Did score in the 4-2 win against Newcastle here last season. As I said, generally Newcastle have had the upper hand in recent meetings in the league between these two clubs. Now then, here's Byrne finding Saint-Maximin over on the far side, looking to take on Sofal. He still has it. He's such a tricky customer. In the end, Sofal has recovered well, though, and the Czech Republic international finds Antonio, who drives it forward. It's a pretty aimless ball, and it's gone back to the goalkeeper, Nick Pope. This is Cher, and now Trippier again. We've seen plenty of the ball on the near side. This is Joe Linton, just accelerating through midfield. Joe Linton doing well. Here's Longstaff for ball. It wasn't really a shot. It was headed goalwards, but it was a cross, and Fabianski was easily able to pluck it out of the air.
Yeah, you can see what he's trying to do in terms of an early ball in the box for Callum Wilson, but in the end, he nearly lobbed Fabianski. What the crowd are whistling, obviously. Fabianski taking his time to distribute. And both sides really haven't played out from the back, have they, John?
No.
They haven't bowled the ball out to the centre halves. I think they both realise that, not going to invite that pressure and concede possession so close to goal. So both goalkeepers playing long.
Here's Sofal on the right-hand side. He tips in field. It's a left-footed cross which is headed away by Newcastle fairly comfortably, only as far as Paquetá, who got that equalising goal on 32 minutes. We're now 7.5 minutes away from half-time. It's poked down the line towards Antonio, who fires in a cross, but it's straight at Nick Pope. Paolo Antonio Sebastiani is with us in Australia. Keep up the great work, gents. Tough night for my Gunners. Very frustrating. New manager bounces alive and well. You've got to give credit to Sean Dyche, haven't you? In difficult situation to inherit at Everton. The club is in all kinds of disarray on and off the field. But, I watched the game earlier today. I thought they deserved the win, to be honest. He seems to have got some kind of work ethic back there anyway.
Yep. Well, that's a given, isn't it? First thing, especially
it's not
at
always
home.
there, though, is it?
No.
Yeah. Ball forward by Newcastle. Almiron chasing with Aguirre. And Aguirre just about manages to scuff it back to Fabianski. There's a smile on the face of the Moroccan, who, of course, missed the last moments of the World Cup run that the country so enjoyed through injury, but was a huge part of them finishing fourth in Qatar. Part of a group of players that will go down in Moroccan folklore. Here's Aguirre again, wearing 27. Gets it back to Fabianski, dressed all in yellow today. Forward with his right foot across halfway. It's picked up by Botman. And now it's Joe Linton, centre circle. Useful ball, but misguided in the end. You can see what he was trying to do, but instead of reaching Sam Maximin, it was headed away by Kera.
It's a bit of anxiety and angst, isn't there? You can hear from the crowd. Obviously, they had the good start. And West Ham had got back in the game, and there have been a few turnovers, a couple of loose passes from Newcastle. West Ham
have had 7 shots to Newcastle's 2. And the only shots on target we've had in the game are the 2 goals. Here's Maximin. Sam Maximin, I should say. Poor cross. Didn't really look when he played the ball into the box. It went straight to Lucas Paquetá. 4 minutes to go to half-time. Joe Linton finding Willock. And Sam Maximin again. Far side. Just drifts in field, looking for a suitable teammate to pass to. He finds Joe Linton. There's a coming together on the edge of the penalty there between Wilson and Kera. And eventually it's cleared by West Ham and then scuffed forward by Ben Rama. Ben Rama has it again, tries to find Antonio. It was a good ball idea of a ball, but it didn't quite come off. And Newcastle have it now with Trippier as the roar goes up from the Gallowgate end predominantly of this famous ground. Here's Longstaff. Can he perform more heroics like he did in midweek? He's found Trippier. Trippier just pushes it forward. Longstaff again, little 1-2 between them. But at the moment, West Ham have a decent shape and Newcastle can't get through it. It's a throw to the Magpies with half-time approaching. And it's all square at 1 apiece. Arsenal losing earlier to Everton. Manchester United winning. The top 4 teams who were involved earlier today. Manchester City play Tottenham tomorrow. Don't miss that. That's a 4:30 kickoff. You can listen to that with us as the ball comes in and Fabianski makes a comfortable catch. It'll be Phil Blacker and the former Tottenham defender Chris Perry watching that one at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's the feature match of the weekend.
I'll tell you what, John, one thing Newcastle have to improve is their crosses in the box. Too many have been too close to Fabianski. Another one there from Dan Burns straight into the arms of the West Ham keeper.
So the only efforts on target have led to goals, so the keepers haven't been over busy yet. As Fabianski decides to knock it forward first time. It's headed back by Dan Burn. It comes to Angelo Ogbonna, who finds Kieran Aguirre. There's a slip by Rice, but he very, very quickly gets back on his feet and then plays a useful ball across to the far side. Here's Jared Bowen, who's been among the goals lately after a bit of a drought. He's got 3 in his last 2, including in the cup win against Derby County at Pride Park on Monday, which set up a 5th round clash with Manchester United at Old Trafford.
He didn't quite make the most of that break, though, Bowen, with, Tom Soufal, who made a terrific overlapping run, and Jared Bowen just needed to find him with the pass, just undercooked the pass and lost possession.
Rice almost loses possession, but Soufal has picked it up, and here is Bowen again with another opportunity. He gets to the byline, he cuts it, it's a useful looking cross. It's headed away though by Cher. Here's Willock. Saint-Maximin a bit dozy there, and he was ball watching, and West Ham won it back, and they've won a free kick here midway inside the Newcastle half for a foul by Joe Willock, and it's going to be a yellow card from Peter Banks, his first booking of the afternoon, and it's the former Arsenal man Joe Willock who picks it up.
Yeah, I mean, they try to get out of trouble here by fizzing the ball into Saint-Maximin, who looks maybe he's a bit leggy, I don't know, because a couple of times he's been caught on his heels, hasn't he? And West Ham has sort of nipped in, taking the ball off him and, sort of inviting undue pressure here. And I just wonder whether they'd look at making a change at half-time, because Saint-Maximin hasn't really had the impact. He's got Isaac, hasn't he? Has he got, is Isaac on the bench? No,
Isaac's not on the bench. Anthony Gordon might be No, Isaac was concussed against Southampton, and Eddie Howe told us yesterday that he'd make a late decision, but I think sensibly the club have erred on the side of caution. Obviously, he's not quite right. Just goes to show it was literally a ball hit in the face. You know, it wasn't an elbow or anything like that. But it was Ward-Prowse, I think, who took the shot. Anyway, we're bang on 45. It's a West Ham free kick. Soufal takes it. Oh, and rising was Aguirre, who got up well and has put it over the bar from a very good position. Almost had his first West Ham goal there.
Should have done, John. Yeah, absolutely should have done. He's onside, drifts off the back there. Brilliant ball towards 6-yard box. He's just got to try and head it down, and he does the right thing, head it back where it came from. But goodness
me, off the top
me,
of his head a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it's more like a clearance, and
it was quite a long way over in the end, wasn't it? He'll be disappointed. Not a renowned goal scorer.
Well, I mean, he's going to have to get goals in this game because Craig Dawson got goals as a centre half.
Scored today, didn't he, for Wolves?
Yes, there you go. I mean, he'd probably be burying that.
He hasn't scored since October 2021. They have Aguirre. That was for his former club, Rennes. He should, as you say, should have scored there. Should have at least tested Nick Pope, who, as we say, has finally been beaten after that long run of clean sheets. We're into 2 minutes of stoppage time, of which one has already elapsed. So half-time is imminent with the team's level. Saint-Maximin, as you say, he doesn't quite look sharp enough.
No,
he's just
lost
put
the
ball out of play.
Again, too many losses, unforced errors here from Saint-Maximin. He's found it hard to get into the team, hasn't he? Because they've been performing so well. Very rarely changes a winning team, but he had to with Guimaraes being out.
She said that he had a fairly conventional haircut. I've just had a close look at him. He's got what looks like a lamb's tail coming out of the back there. So it's not entirely conventional. Here's Joe Linton, pushes it forward first time to Saint-Maximin. Back to Joe Linton again. Joe Linton far side goes over. He's been flicked, I think, by Soufal. It's going to be a free kick to Newcastle. There might just be enough time for them to take it and to launch one more attempt on goal. Saint-Maximin looks in a little bit of bother, injury-wise, but they'll wait, obviously, to half-time to see what that is. As you said, he might be in the thoughts of Eddie Howe in terms of a tactical switch, even if he's not injured. Now, Trippier has the ball. He's got one chance now to put the ball into the West Ham box and try and get Newcastle back into the lead that they enjoyed between the 3rd and 32nd minutes of this game. In it comes from Trippier. Easy header away. That is half-time. So an entertaining half at St James's, where Newcastle haven't really hit the heights. They started superbly. Joe Willock had a goal disallowed on 40 seconds, but then Callum Wilson did find the net on 3 minutes. but Newcastle's long spell without conceding a goal came to the end on 32 when Lucas Paquetá scrambled the ball in following a corner, and at half-time it is Newcastle United 1, West Ham United 1 on Premier League Live.
Global events.
Time at St James's Park, and it's 1 goal apiece between Newcastle and West Ham. Newcastle started like a house on fire, didn't they? But credit to West Ham, they've stuck at it and got a reward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a really good game so far. They certainly started well. Newcastle had the ball in the back of the net, early doors, ruled out, and then pretty quickly after that, they got one that counted, which was really expertly taken from Callum Wilson. Give him chances and he will score. But yes, as you say, West Ham got back in the game, and that was a huge goal for them.
It's been fairly even, hasn't it? I mean, I'd say a great start by Newcastle. They had a goal disallowed rightly because the ball had crossed the line before Joe Willock put it in. I mean, that would have been 40 seconds. And, you felt for West Ham. 3 minutes they concede, having, it could have been 2-0. And yet, they've shown quite good character to come back.
I mean, you could pick holes in Newcastle's performance in terms of, I felt they've had a lot of turnovers, been careless in possession, especially Saint-Maximin at times. I know he puts a lot of work in to carry the ball up the pitch, but he's lost it a few times. Their deliveries across in the box have been disappointing as well, too many into the arms of Fabianski. And once sort of West Ham settled down, they looked a bit of a threat. They committed players into the box, they got into the final third. The likes of Mikel Antonio hadn't seen much of the ball, but if they'd had better end product from, say, Said Benrahma, they might have had even more from this game. I mean, he's been really, really disappointing.
Yeah, he has.
But look, nonetheless, they got their goal. And, not too many have scored against Newcastle, as you said in commentary.
9 hours and 32 minutes. No, 33 minutes, actually, because it was officially 32.
And then, that's a big goal as well for Paquetá, because he comes, big reputation, big money, and, he's settling in. And he's got his goal now, and you never know, whether that'll do him a world of good.
Yeah, just his second goal of the season. He scored against Leeds in a 2-2 draw. You said that Benrahma's been disappointing for West Ham. Sam Maximin, who came in for the suspended Guimaraes, has been a little disappointing for Newcastle. You hinted there might be a switch. I mean, do you think the Newcastle fans would want to see Anthony Gordon? They've spent a lot of money.
I think they would, and I think they're frustrated with Sam Maximin's performance so far. But I guess it's the story of wingers, right? Benrahma's on one wing is, that can do something brilliant. And also, he can lose it a lot. Same with
Bowen.
Same with Bowen. But I mean, but credit to there's another look at that goal there from Callum Wilson, because it was a terrific pass from Sean Longstaff, who's. We mentioned about no Bruno Guimaraes, but, Longstaff, a couple of goals in the cup, and, taking his opportunity in there, and, they look like they're not really missing him. Yeah. But, I mean, I do think that he'll want to see an improved performance second half.
Yeah.
And whether that would mean a change, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Is he, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't say it's been plain sailing for Newcastle, but they've had a very, very good season. They've had a very, very good run of results. He hasn't had too many games where he's really had to change it around. It's also the first time they've conceded a first-half goal in 17.
Yeah, but he very rarely changes his team. This settled side, obviously, with Bruno being out, he's had to adapt and change it around. And he might go, you know what, that's probably why I'm not starting Saint-Maximin, because he's a bit too unreliable, maybe. So whether we see Anthony Gordon come on, we saw Chelsea do that, make a change at half-time. You sign these players, you're going to use them. So, but I think it'd be, pretty underwhelmed with sort of in the last 20 minutes of that game, Eddie Howe.
Yeah. If it stays like this, Newcastle will be 4th and West Ham United 5th from bottom, but win for either side could alter those positions. Earlier today, you heard with us a shock result, I suppose, from Goodison Park. Everton 1, Arsenal 0, a goal by James Tarkowski on the hour, giving Sean Dyche the perfect start as Everton manager. And Dyche told us afterwards that everything fell into place.
We know we can deal with the ball better at times, and there was moments when we could have been more effective with the ball. But at the end of the day, what we asked for was the minimum requirement is maximum effort, and they've put a maximum effort performance in today. It's a great start point. It's a great base to work from. The organisation I thought was good. The pressing was good. The will to tackle. Defend properly, and then of course found a great moment from a set piece, and set pieces are always important when they're delivered correctly. Two players who obviously I've worked with, they know some of our set piece thinking, and then kind of glued together with a performance that I thought a performance with a big heart, and that will never go out of fashion. I said recently in interviews, for all the qualities in football teams and football clubs, you need a heart, you need desire, you need pride, you need the passion to go and deliver a performance. And I was very pleased with that today.
Yeah, great start for Sean Dyche. Is that a pivotal result for both clubs, really? I mean, Everton, they stay in the bottom 3, but it's a huge win for them.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, for Arsenal, only their second defeat of the season. With Manchester City playing tomorrow against Tottenham, City could close the gap to 2 points.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, a massive result when new manager in charge, new manager bounce. You wanted to come in and have an impact, and he's certainly done that. So terrific 3 points, as he just mentioned there. Reference players he's worked with before, set piece goal, hard work. The oblique test type thing that you do as a manager. It's going to be hard. It's going to who's willing to pay the price, put on a performance. Sweat on your shirt at Goodison Park. And that's a big performance for them. And I think they've got Liverpool next.
They have. I was just going to say that. Yeah, their next game is the derby against them. Talking of Liverpool, shocking result for them. Another really bad one. They lost 3-0 at Wolverhampton Wanderers and are absolutely miles off the pace in the Premier League. They're stuck down in 10th with 29 points. That's 11 away from where Newcastle currently stand were they to draw. And Jurgen Klopp has been thinking about how on earth he is going to turn things around.
We have to keep working, but the boys have to. change that as well. So that's how it is. You can do a lot on a training pitch, but then the game starts, and then you have to be there. Then you need to this kind of aggression. That's what we have to do. So I can prepare a lot, but in the end I cannot go fly into a challenge for them. That's not possible. So. That's tough now. It's really tough, and we know that. And we better would have changed it yesterday, but now we have to change it today or tomorrow. So immediately get there, because next game is Everton. They obviously the derby. They won now the last game. Typical now Sean Dyche football, set piece goal, blah blah blah, full of aggression. We need to be there. They will not hand it over to us in our stadium. So. We have a few days to prepare it, but it's football. Nobody knows what happens in between. So we have to make sure that we are. And we work as good as we can, and then go again.
So 1 point from their last 3 games, Liverpool, absolutely miles off the pace, even to qualify for the Champions League, mid-table. Is Jurgen Klopp, for the very, very first time, probably in his entire Liverpool career, beginning to come under a bit of pressure?
Oh yes, obviously, yeah. And he's having to make decisions. Fabinho leaving out of the team. He came on against Brighton. Lucky he didn't get sent off. Dropped today. Mo Salah struggling for goals. Yeah. I mean, they're a side that are really falling well below their usual levels and standards, and it's worrying for Jurgen Klopp because it seems like he doesn't know how to arrest the slide. Yeah. So particularly concerning. And as you mentioned, he's got that Merseyside derby coming up, so it doesn't get any easier.
He doesn't want to lose that, does he? Here with Newcastle and West Ham level at 1 apiece. We'll be back very shortly with the second half on Premier League Live. Alongside me is the former West Ham striker David Connolly. This is Premier League Live as the two teams emerge from the tunnel for the second half. West Ham are going to bring on Ben Johnson for the second half, who is a right fullback. I don't know whether that means that Vladimir Soufal will come up. I wasn't aware of any injury. Actually, it's Thilo Kehrer who's going to make way for Johnson. Not aware that Kehrer was injured either. There was actually debate about whether Kehrer or Creswell will be removed. But what does that mean? Is it going to be still a 3 or is he going to go to a 4? At the moment, he's got 2 right backs on the pitch.
Well, I think Johnson can play right side centre back, so they could still stick with their back 3.
Well, we're about to get underway. No sign of any changes from Newcastle United at half-time, which means that Sam Maximin, who we felt might be sacrificed to give Anthony Gordon the Magpies debut, he's still on the pitch. We're back underway. And we're going to have a glance around just to see how West Ham United are lining up. At the moment, the ball is way back in the Newcastle United penalty area. But Kehrer has departed, and Ben Johnson, who is a relative of our friend Paul Parker, one of my esteemed co-commentators here, is on the pitch. He's also related to Ledley King, once of Tottenham Hotspur, so he's got good footballing genes. Have you managed to work out what's going on yet at the back?
Well, it's just the same. Nothing's changed, to be honest. I mean, O'Connor has moved over to left side centre back, and again, it looks like he's playing down through the middle, and then Johnson as right side centre back, and Soufal operating as that right-sided wing back as he was in the first half.
So Newcastle have Nick Pope in goal, the back 4 of Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Sven Botman and Dan Burn. Across midfield, it's Sean Longstaff, Joe Linton and Chris Willock up front. Miguel Almiron, Callum Wilson, who got their goal, and Alain Saint-Maximin. As the ball just loose for a moment in the West Ham box, and Johnson makes his first action of the game to hook the ball out of play. The Hammers have Lucas Fabianski in goal, a rejig back 3 now of Ben Johnson, Nave Aguirre and Angelo Ogbonna. Across midfield, Vladimir Soufal, Lucas Paquetá, who got the equaliser, Declan Rice and Emerson. Up front, Jared Bowen, Said Benrahma and Michael Antonio, 1 apiece. Wilson for Newcastle on 3 minutes, and Paquetá for West Ham on 32. Here's Bowen, tackled by Joe Linton. We've had 2 minutes of the second half already. Win for Newcastle would take them to 3rd. A win for West Ham United, and they could be into the dizzy heights of 14th above Nottingham Forest on goal difference. Bruno Guimaraes is still signing autographs as he takes his seat at the director's box, or near it, for Newcastle. He's suspended, of course. Alain Saint-Maximin replacing him, with Joe Linton dropping a little deeper. But they haven't been at their best, really, Newcastle, consistently. They started superbly well. Here's Joe Linton inside his own half, runs into a bit of trouble, and then manages to flick out a boot, and he's felled his compatriot, Lucas Paquetá. Well, he's Brazilians together there.
Yeah, well, he's full of tricks and flicks now, Paquetá. That goal's given him an awful lot of confidence, and maybe he just needs to make sure he actually kicks the ball as well for a little bit. They are away from home, and he's won a free kick, but
they've only won 1 home game in the Premier League this season, West Ham United. That was at Aston Villa back in August. They did win at Derby in the FA Cup in midweek, and of course they won their last Premier League game thanks to a double from Jared Bowen. Here's Soufal into the box, headed away first by Botman and then by Almiron. That's a good ball though, back from West Ham. Here's Bowen, who gets it into the box. This time it's Dan Burn with the clearance. It comes back to Bowen. Bowen to Paquetá, back to Bowen. Bowen cuts it back from the byline but overhits it Benrahma, I think, will just about keep it in far side. He's done that. Here's Rice back to Benrahma, who was disappointing in the first half and wasted some good opportunities from out wide to get the ball in. He has another here. It's a better ball, and it's headed just wide. That was a chance, and Aguirre not able to take it. He had a header which he put over the bar in the first half wastefully. That was a more difficult one, but he's flicked it across the face and wide.
Yeah, good ball in though, wasn't it, from Benrahma? That's more like it.
Bowen looks like he's struggling a bit, does he?
He's hobbling around
on his right ankle, and Danny Ings is warming up. We didn't expect to see Ings today. He's been struggling with a knee injury, which he picked up on his debut as a substitute in the last Premier League game, but it looks like he might be about to come on. Well, certainly he's warming up in preparation. Poor ball by Antonio, though, given away. It's knocked away by Botman. Here's Ben Johnson, the West Ham substitute, hoists it forward. Bowen might get on the end of it, but there's a covering header there, and a good one too, to get the ball away from him. Bowen is still noticeably hobbling. He's not looking comfortable, although he has just set off on a run. The ball's not going to come to him. It's Paquetá finding Ogbonna, and then back to his goalkeeper by Aguirre. 5 minutes gone, second half. 1-1 the score. Be a better result for West Ham, I think, than Newcastle 1-1, wouldn't it? Given the fact that they would only be their 6th away point of the season. They want more though, and here they come, West Ham driving forward. That's going to be a free kick. It was very strong and a direct run through midfield, and Joe Linton has halted it illegally. It was Emerson, Brazilian born of course, but Italian by nationality these days. It's a free kick to West Ham midway inside the Newcastle half. Joe Linton is protesting his innocence, but Peter Banks has awarded the free kick.
It's more good news though for West Ham, because they've started well, haven't they, the second half, and another free kick, and they keep the pressure on. Good response in the second half.
Well, Everton earlier today produced a landmark result by beating Arsenal. A West Ham win for Newcastle wouldn't be far behind that for two relegation threatened clubs. Emerson is going to take the free kick, which he won. It's his left foot chipping it in, the former Chelsea man. It's headed away by Botman. Here's Soufal back into the Newcastle penalty area, where it's repelled again. Rice tries to tease it forward, and for a third time Newcastle get the ball clear. It's bashed forward by Johnson. It's an awkward one, but it's well defended by Sven Botman. And now here's Dan Burn. Again, that's a rather agricultural ball upfield. Wilson trying to get there. Saint-Maximin slips. Johnson nods it back to Soufal, and it comes back to Lucas Fabianski. Neither keeper has had to make any genuine saves yet. No chance for either, with the goal at either end. Newcastle are now in centre midfield, but the ball is won back by Jared Bowen. Saint-Maximin wants a free kick. Bowen is pleading his innocence, which suggests that one has been given.
I didn't see too much wrong with that. I mean, he skipped inside Alan Saint-Maximin, who's beaten him. I think he's just put an arm out. Yeah, and maybe
nudged him. He went over on his ankle a little bit there, Saint-Maximin. I think he's okay. But we've had 8 minutes of the second half. Still one apiece. Here's Joe Linton. The Geordies are trying to crank up the volume. It was an absolute fever pitch in midweek when they beat Southampton. It's such a long time since Newcastle reached a final. I gather Newcastle fans were on their phones immediately trying to book hotels in London. It's a long trip down. Here's Almiron. That's a clever ball. Trippier on the overlap. Chance for a header for Wilson. Cleared by West Ham and then smashed by Saint-Maximin. And really well saved by Lucas Fabianski. Saint-Maximin looking for only his second goal of the season. Hit it fairly well on the volley. A dropping ball. And Fabianski was well placed and in the way.
I tell you, it was an excellent move. I mean, lovely little give and go between Almiron and his fullback Trippier out wide, and then brilliant ball to the back post from Trippier. Comes at the feet of Saint-Maximin. It's
actually Soufal in front of the keeper, isn't it?
I don't think it's a clean hit from Saint-Maximin.
He's got it on target.
Yeah, he's gone with his instep.
It's actually the defender in front of the goalkeeper who blocked it. I think Fabianski would have done the same had it come through to him.
A couple of bobbles on his way towards goal. Wasn't a clean hit from Saint-Maximin. Kind of sums up his game so far.
Yeah, hasn't scored for a while. Scored against Wolves back in August. That one finished 1 apiece. This one is 1 apiece. Anthony Gordon is continuing to warm up as he was in the first half for Newcastle, having left his boyhood club Everton in the transfer window, one of the big money signings. And he's still only 21. He actually made his Everton debut against West Ham, so he could make his Newcastle debut against West Ham as well. But at the moment, there are no signs yet that he's imminently going to come on, despite the fact that he's jogging up and down the touchline. We've had 10 minutes of the second half. Forward it comes from Cher to Joe Linton. Here's Kieran Trippier on the far side. Newcastle patient in their attempts to try and get the ball forward. This is Byrne, still inside his own half. Joe Linton's been dispossessed. Soufal with a good ball. This is Bowen. Bowen running towards the byline. Gets to the byline, clips it back. It's a useful looking cross, and Trippier does well with his header, but Ben Rama picks it up close to the corner flag for West Ham. Plays it back down the line towards Emerson, who drifts infield. Now it's Johnson and Soufal. This is better from West Ham, but they need the ball in the box again. Bowen finds Johnson. Back to Bowen again. Not to Johnson again. They're playing exclusively between themselves at the moment. Now Paquetá has it. Johnson has it back again from Rice. Midway inside the Newcastle half. Tries to find Antonio. Antonio loses it though, and Almiron will pick it up and drive forward for Newcastle United, who have Trippier on the fuss. It's a wonderful ball by Trippier. And here's Callum Wilson. He's only got Saint-Maximin in the box. And actually, Naif Egar made a good tackle, and the ball's gone out for a throw.
Yeah, good move though again, but it comes from a loss of possession from Mikel Antonio again. Too often that ball's come into him, into the front man, and he's lost it.
Trippier to Almiron. Almiron goes round the outside of Emerson, but has to check back. Plays a good ball into Joe Linton. Joe Linton with an attempted 1-2. He's gone down in the box.
Dive.
It's going to be a dive and a yellow card rather than the penalty that the Newcastle fans wanted, and that, I must say, looked like what it was to me.
Yeah. Pretty obvious.
Yellow card for the Brazilian to join Willock, who was yellow carded in the first half for Newcastle. We're getting a slow motion view of this. It is as blatant as they come.
Yeah.
He's toe poked the ball. He knows it's going out of play.
Agard
is nowhere near him. Well, he's near him. He's nowhere near touching it. And I think that's the right decision.
Absolutely.
Good to see that sort of thing being punished, to be fair. Joe Linton has been a bad boy lately. He's just been banned from driving. He was found guilty of drunk driving. He's paid a big fine as well. Ball out of the box from Fabianski. It's headed out of play. West Ham will have a throw about 10 yards inside the Newcastle half. Referee did well there. He said in the first half there were a few decisions that were debatable, but not crucial ones, just that was routine ones. He got it right there.
Well, he got it right there, but the assistant referee was pretty similar distance to the first half where Miggy Almiron, where the ball went out of play. And,
didn't spot it. But well, that's where VAR is a good thing, because that should never have stood.
No.
You can argue all you like about offsides and handballs, but that was a case where the ball had gone out of play.
It's coming to Mikel Antonio again.
Yeah.
A little simple ball round the corner, and he's lost it. I feel for Mikel, because I want him to do well, former Southampton teammate, but it's just not quite happening for him out there. I'll be banging him out wide and maybe just see if we could get someone else through the
middle. He wanted to leave West Ham, which surprised me a little bit.
They've got no one else though.
Yeah,
I mean,
first of all, they
Danny
want to let him go.
Maybe they bring Danny on down for the middle and put Mikel out wide, or a like for like change. I don't know why he hasn't brought Danny on still, but
he's probably not 100% fit. I mean, he's ahead of schedule as we thought. We were told initially it'd be a couple of weeks, and then Moyes hinted yesterday that he might be okay. He's on the bench. He's been warming up. He's got a goal in him, Danny Ings. Is that sort of player. Anyway, long ball forward up towards the the edge of the West Ham penalty area. They deal with it well. Antonio hooks it forward. Trippier uses his pace well to get in front of Ben Rama, and then changes direction and finds a lovely ball to Sam Maximin. It was good fullback play by Kieran Trippier. Now then, this is a chance for Cher to get forward, wearing bright orange boots. Finds Sean Longstaff, the hero of the Carabao Cup semi-final. And he has it again, picking up the ball from Botman. Now it's Byrne. One of the things that Newcastle have had, I'll tell you about that in a minute. Here's Willock driving forward, finding Sam Maximin. Useful cross, really good defensive header by Aguirre. If that had found its way through to Callum Wilson, you fancied it had nodded it in a straightforward manner into the net. But Naif Aguirre's header prevented him from getting anywhere near the ball. Good defending.
Excellent. Yeah, it was really, really good clearing header. Lovely ball in from Sam Maximin, think to the back post, and there's Callum Wilson just lurking in behind Aguirre, back to head it in.
Yeah.
A couple of yards out. Yeah. Superb defending.
It was good defending by the Moroccan, and Wilson couldn't get there. Joelinton has gone down again, not a dive this time, but it was clearly outside the box and not a foul. An hour gone, one apiece still. Don't forget, we've got the big one for you tomorrow, not Tottenham against Manchester City. Before that, at 1:30, there are two teams who are involved in that relegation scrap with West Ham United. Nottingham Forest against Leeds United at the City Ground. That's the 1:30 kickoff tomorrow, followed 3 hours later by the standout game of the weekend. Here's Sam Maximin for Newcastle. Cuts it back to Almiron, who's been in such fantastic form. Willock shapes to shoot, doesn't. Plays it out to Trippier, is in support. Trippier into the box. Keeper stretching. Fabianski does really well. Marking backwards, claiming the ball.
I think there's a couple of players, certainly maybe Sam Maximin has clattered into the post here. He's down off the pitch.
Is he? Ooh,
oh no, it's Willock.
It's Willock. Ooh, he's holding his knee. He looks in a little bit of pain. Shouldn't normally be a particularly bad one. I mean, it hurts, doesn't it, when you knee your knee into a post?
I remember Phil Babb sliding into the post.
Yeah.
Against Chelsea many moons ago. Yeah. That was a painful one.
The unfortunate way to get injured. Didn't actually seem to hit it with any great force. I think he's hopefully going to be okay. He's still wincing, but I think he's going to be all right. It's one of those ones where it just hits under the kneecap and it's painful for a while, but then it's fairly straightforward to run it off. Speaking from my huge experience in pub football about 30 years ago. Here's Almiron finding Joelinton. David Connolly's got his tissues out again. Hopefully you can't hear him blowing his nose in the background as Newcastle come forward. Here's Willock, tries to go round his man. Bowen dispossesses him and plays the ball up towards halfway, where Antonio is beaten to the ball by Cher, but it's gone out of play for a West Ham United throw-in. 62 minutes played, still 1-1. Callum Wilson very early for Newcastle. Lucas Paquetá equalising with his second goal of his West Ham career. Eddie Howe is wearing a rather furrowed brow at the moment, doesn't he? Doesn't look a particularly happy man. It's not been what he'd call a five-star performance by any means yet from his team, has it?
No, I mean, they had to leave it late against Fulham to get the winner, so I think he knows that he might have to grind this one out. It's a difficult one to win.
They don't concede many, but they don't score many either, Newcastle, really, do they? So this one could go either way. Might be getting to the stage where next goal wins it. Haven't quite reached that stage yet. Here's Trippier far side. Back it goes to Cher, who tries to find Joelinton, but it's intercepted in midfield by Paquetá, who slithers over, and Joe Willock, who's running freely again with his knee back in working order, crosses the halfway line, looks for a pass, finds Sam Maximin on this near side, who drifts infield, the Frenchman, but then gives it away, and it's headed out of play for a throw into Newcastle, just inside the West Ham half. Here's Longstaff. Still plenty of noise inside St James's Park in a game which hasn't perhaps been a thriller, but it's been absorbing. West Ham have had at least as many attempts on goal, if not more, than Newcastle so far. Here's Sven Botman for the Magpies. Don't know what on earth he was doing there. He seems to have played it to an invisible Newcastle United colleague, and it's gone out of play for a goal kick.
If that invisible Newcastle colleague was there, he'd have to be on a motorbike to catch that through ball.
Or 17 yards offside.
Yeah.
David Moyes is talking to Vladimir Soufal on the edge of the field, no doubt believing, as he should, that there's something in this for West Ham, because you wouldn't really guess on the strength of this game that Newcastle started it third and West Ham started it fourth from bottom, would you really? No. Danny Ings is still warming up, wearing number 18 by the corner flag that West Ham, at the end that West Ham are attacking. Here's Longstaff hoisting it forward towards Almiron, the ball dropping out of the air. Aguirre gets there first, and the ball goes out of play for a West Ham throw. Aguirre's played pretty well today, and he should have scored with a header, but defensively he's been good, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, coming back to Danny Ings, he looks like he's prowling the sideline there, like desperate to get on.
The caged animal,
Dagged looks towards the bench.
20 minutes gone second half, still one apiece. West Ham thump it away with Ogbonna. It's flicked on towards Ben Rama. Nice cushion ball, and suddenly Antonio's driving forward at pace for West Ham, looking to find Ben Rama. Ben Rama, far side's got two in the box to aim at. One is Soufal, who nods it down, but nods it across and away from goal rather than towards it. It's picked up by Paquetá, who's trying to get round Saint-Maximin. Saint-Maximin's done well to win the ball back, and suddenly Newcastle have with Almiron, and that's a good ball. And here's Joe Willock. He's only got Wilson up ahead of him at the moment, and West Ham have got men back. Willock gets support here from Miguel Almiron, whose flick into the box doesn't quite find its intended target. But here's Longstaff. Now Joelinton. Midway inside the West Ham half, dead centre. Out wide it goes to Kieran Trippier. We're at walking pace at the moment, with Newcastle just stroking the ball around between them. This is Dan Burn, whose ball is intercepted by Soufal. It'll be a throw into Newcastle United.
Well, that looks like Anthony Gordon is coming on. He's stripped, taking instructions on the sideline.
He's going to come on sooner rather than later. We're almost at the midway point in the second half. And the game, which, as we've said, is pretty much on a knife edge. You wouldn't really like to gamble on who might win this one. You could make a good case for either side, couldn't you?
Well, certainly when West Ham attack, we saw Ben Rama there again. I mean, breaking, should have done better. Terrible cross into the box over here. And what chance have you got? Certainly need more from him.
Here's Willock finding Longstaff from the sort of range where he got 2 goals in midweek, but not able to shoot this time. Declan Rice brings it out of defence for West Ham and finds Antonio. Antonio's got a man to his left. It's Ben Rama. He's also got Emerson coming short. It's Emerson who picks it up on the far side for West Ham. It does now find Ben Rama. Ben Rama, with not much space to manoeuvre, plays the ball back infield to Rice. Rice chips it into the box. Header clear by the very tall Dan Burn, who then, with a second header, manages to find Willock, who gets it away from Paquetá and finds Longstaff. Now it's Saint-Maximin, very deep, and he's done well there. He's had a better second half than he had first half, Saint-Maximin, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And Newcastle with Trippier, right-hand side. Almiron now takes over. And then plays a 1-2. It's a good run by him, and he's laid it off nicely to Burn, who thinks about a shot. Instead, he's found Saint-Maximin. Saint-Maximin inside the West Ham box. He's got such quick feet, you never quite know what he's going to do. But that was a really good tackle by Soufal. I'm not actually sure that Saint-Maximin knew what he was going to do then.
No.
And as a result, Soufal nicked in and stole the ball.
Yeah, took it off him pretty easily, and that's the end product from Saint-Maximin. I'm sure they want to see a bit more. I reckon that's probably his last action of the game. Wouldn't surprise me if he does make way for Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, Anthony Gordon is about to make his Newcastle United debut against the same team against whom he made his Everton debut as a youngster. He's now 21 years old. He's arrived on a fairly hefty fee £45 million. It is Saint-Maximin who he's replacing. He's got a very good welcome from the faithful in St James's Park. Another brick in the wall of Newcastle United's rebuilding with this amount of money that they have. They haven't quite matched Chelsea in the spending spree yet, but as I say, I think generally they've made sensible, good signings. They haven't gone for sort of marquee signings necessarily, but everybody they've brought in seems to have done particularly Guimaraes, who's been outstanding, unavailable today, of course, but you know, he's been shrewd in the market, hasn't he, Eddie Howe?
Yeah, looks like Shelby's moved on, and maybe Gordon has taken his number 8.
Yes, he has.
And as you say, I mean, bringing the age down of the squad.
Yeah, Shelby's got the Forest. But he got a good reception, actually. He waved goodbye to the Newcastle fans in that rapturous aftermath of the Carabao Cup semi-final win, and got a very warm reception. Paquetá's gone down and wants a free kick, which he's going to get. 70 minutes played. Newcastle 1, West Ham United 1. Anthony Gordon didn't enamour himself with the Everton supporters with some of the comments he made, considering he was a local boy who came through the academy. It looks like Fornals and Souček are going to come on for West Ham United in just a moment, but not yet. The ball's back in play. It's Ben Rama who flicks a header towards Antonio. Antonio inside the box. Oh, there's an offside flag, I think, there against the West Ham striker Mikel Antonio. Got a goal in the cup win against Derby earlier this week. He's got a couple of goals in his career against Newcastle in the past, but the goal against Derby was only his second goal in 14. He's not been as lethal as he has been in the past seasons for West Ham United. Still, Danny Ings is on the sidelines. Here's Joe Linton for Newcastle. Spins it out towards Dan Burn, near side. Down the line it goes towards Miguel Almiron, Miggy as they call him in these parts. War Miggy. Here's Longstaff, gets away from his man and finds support from Trippier. Trippier low into the box, it deflects off Emerson, and that'll be a corner to Newcastle United.
Good move, really good move. First time we've seen Anthony Gordon get on the ball. A couple of little give and goes, sharp play, and that's got the crowd going. Eventually the ball fed out wide from Longstaff to Trippier. Cross blocked out for a corner.
Newcastle's first corner of the game. And it's come in the 71st minute. Trippier is going to take it. There are 6 black and white shirts for him to aim at inside the West Ham United box. It's an outswinger and it's nodded back. Byrne tries to get onto the header, which was initially by Botman, wasn't able to. Here's Gordon, thinks about a shot, tries a 1-2, neither comes off. It's cleared by Johnson. Here's Almiron and now Willock. It's knocked away by Bowen, but pressure on West Ham increases from Newcastle as they get the ball back into the box. Here's Longstaff, who picks it up again in centre midfield and then plays a poor ball which Paquetá easily intercepts. He dawdles on the ball a bit, Paquetá.
Wow, he teases you in, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's a risky game, especially on the edge of the box.
Here's a crunching collision between the two Brazilians, Paquetá and Joelinton. It's not the first time they've clashed today. Joelinton's won that particular battle and has the ball now and finds Gordon. Gordon with 20 yards between him and the goal, finds Willock. Now it's Longstaff and Trippier far side. Newcastle looking the more likely at the moment with 17 and a half minutes to go. Almiron, Willock, poor ball, and in the end all that possession and forward momentum ends with a ball that's played straight out of play.
Yeah, come to nothing. That craft and guile in and around the box, which is what they brought Anthony Gordon for. Comes into Willock and he spins it first time, but it's overhit. Just goes off the pitch. I mean, a couple of changes for West Ham, but I'm not sure if Danny Ings is among them.
No, Souček and Fornals definitely are. Just waiting to see who's coming off. Said Benrahma is making way, and it looks like Paquetá, the goal scorer, is also coming off for West Ham. So it's slightly more defensive, isn't it?
Well,
Souček is perhaps not as forward minded as Ben Rama is,
Yeah, that's
or
right.
indeed Paquetá.
Yeah, which is a sign, I think, that I am sure David Moyes is thinking that, Newcastle they're the home team. They're going to try and go for it. Probably late on, they'll be hammering balls in their box. Bit of height from Souček. Someone else to look after the ball. Paquetá has been a bit loose. He likes to play tricks and flicks. And I think in the last 15, 20 minutes, you want to make sure you come away from it with at least a point. So sensible changes from Moyes.
Mark Davison, I'm a little late with this tweet. Mark says, checking in from Atlanta, Georgia. Great first half. Any thoughts on Enzo's debut yesterday? Love listening to you guys. Enzo Fernandez, I thought he looked tidy.
Yeah, he did.
Although Chelsea, once again, it was a disappointing result against Fulham.
He looked like he played very, very well.
Yeah, he did play well. He showed some really nice touches, and he reads the game very well. Here's Joe Linton. Scoops it across field towards Willock, who just about keeps it in with his head. Newcastle have had the vast majority of the possession in the last 10 minutes, but haven't really done anything with it. Haven't been too many clear-cut chances for either side in this second half. That's given away, and Rice picks it up and finds Fornals, who gets his first touch. West Ham have had 9 attempts on goal to Newcastle's 4. So far, well, they're claiming there's only 1 attempt on target from both teams, but I mean, Sam Maximo had one, didn't he, which was blocked in front of the goal. Anyway, here's Almiron, good ball to Gordon. Gordon sets off on his way, that's a lovely ball. Here's Callum Wilson, he's through on goal. Callum Wilson, brilliant recovery tackle by Aguirre. He might have been offside, Wilson, I'm not sure about that, but Aguirre did superbly well to prevent Callum Wilson getting a second goal in a similar fashion to which he got his first, and it was a lovely ball by Gordon.
What a brilliant recovery tackle this is from Aguirre. I mean, it's the first time we've seen Anthony Gordon get in between the lines, and he does it so well in around the halfway line, then spins it round the corner to Callum Wilson, times his run beautifully. He's back, he's in behind, bearing down on goal, he just gets into the area, and maybe if it had gone on his left foot like his goal, maybe Aguirre couldn't have got across him. As it is, he kept it on his right foot. Aguirre was then on the inside, and he made a wonderful challenge.
It was a brilliant piece of defending. It is at the expense of a corner, though, which is taken short by Newcastle. Scooped into the box. It takes a deflection off Bowen. Rice will rather slash at it, and the ball goes out of play close to the corner flag on the far side. 14 minutes left. And still anyone's game. Here's Joe Linton. That's a nice turn by him. Now Longstaff. This is Byrne. And now Gordon. It's a nice touch to Willock. He looks like he has livened things up considerably in midfield. Anthony Gordon. Lovely ball down the line. Trippier can't quite get there. Falls to his feet in disappointment. And chance for Newcastle. They're certainly the better team at the moment. It's a dangerous game, isn't it, potentially, from West Ham to try and sit on. I mean, it would be a fantastic point for them. There's no doubt about that. They are going to bring on Danny Ings, who's got his shirt off, and his array of tattoos are quite extraordinary. He's going to be on in a minute. Quite sure who for yet. Possibly Antonio. I'd say probably Antonio, actually, but you never know. He's going to have 12 or so minutes to try and get what would be a hugely well-received goal for the West Ham faithful. He has scored goals for 3 different clubs against Newcastle, Danny Ings, for Villa, Southampton and Liverpool. So they know all about him. Forward it goes by West Ham. Poor ball. That was a tired-looking ball, wasn't it? Bowen was never going to get anywhere near that.
It shouldn't have been, because I think it was from Thomas Souček, but it's not really his strength, the longer passing.
Almiron's kept the ball in on the far side and picks it up again from Joe Linton. Tries to find Willock. Willock controls it, still just inside his own half. Sets off on his way. And finds Gordon. Nice feet by Anthony Gordon, who's driving forward. He certainly put a spring in Newcastle's step.
Sharp, isn't
Joe
he?
Linton. Yes, he is. Here's Byrne, near side. No room for a cross yet. And it comes to Longstaff, and now Share inside the centre circle, but inside West Ham's half, he finds his central defensive partnership. Botman, one of the things that has benefited Eddie Howe is a very settled back four, isn't it? They've gelled well. Here's Almiron, and now Trippier, who's one of those in the back four. It's well defended by Ogbonna, though, who gets it away, and then West Ham drive it forward. Antonio in a foot race here, and he's fouled Fabian Schär rather obviously. The shake of the hand tells you that Mikel Antonio knew exactly what was going on there, and that the award of a free kick was utterly correct, which it was. And Newcastle try and come forward again. That is another free kick, foul by Fornals, and it'll be inside the West Ham half by about 15 yards. Maybe this is the cue for Danny Ings to come on. He's getting final instructions from Kevin Nolan, David Moyes' assistant, and we're going to see Jacob Murphy for Newcastle United and Elliot Anderson come on for them. Ings is replacing Antonio for West Ham. As I've mentioned, he's been a scourge of Newcastle in the past. Good to see him back. It was hard luck on on West Ham to see him injured in his first game. Miguel Almiron is going off for Newcastle, a hugely popular figure in these parts, to be replaced by Jacob Murphy. And we are going to see Elliot Anderson, who Eddie Howe was enthusing about. Another local boy. He's also another local boy like Longstaff with an interesting connection with his family. His grandfather played for Newcastle, Jeff Allen, and he was part of the squad that won the Intercities Fairs Cup in the 1960s, which was the last time Newcastle lifted any kind of trophy. Now, header chance, and well held by Fabianski. I think it was Wilson who got up. He directed his header goalwards, but straight at the yellow-clad keeper, who just about clung on. It was a really good delivery by Trippier. Decent header by Wilson. Enough power, but it was too close to the keeper.
Yeah, it's just a placement, wasn't it? As you say, had the power, just a placement straight at the goalkeeper, either side of him, and it would have been difficult for Fabianski.
We're in the last 10 minutes. Here's Murphy, who's just come on, finding Wilson. Now it's Longstaff. And Trippier, who delivered that cross so well a moment ago. That's another useful ball in towards Joe Linton. I don't think he's going to keep it in.
Oh, he might
now, has he got
a
corner off Aguirre? I thought he did. I think it's been given. I think that's the right decision as well. That was good persistence by Joe Linton. He could have given that up for...
Well, that's his game, though. He doesn't give it up.
No.
That's why he's endeared himself to the fans, even with maybe the lack of goals that they were hoping for.
He's won a corner. Trippier will take it with his right foot. It's going to be an out swinger. West Ham don't normally concede from corners. Here's Gordon, who fires it in after the initial corner was cleared. It hit Bowen, and it's gone behind for another corner. Gordon is frustrated.
Yeah, I think that stat just came up. This is the 100th corner West Ham have faced
without conceding. It's incredible statistic. Here's Trippier. Are they going to concede from this one? No, they're not. It's been headed over the crossbar by Fabian Schär. That's incredible when you think where West Ham in the table are, where they are in the table. It's an amazing stat. 100 corners conceded for any of them. But Newcastle did, of course, concede from a corner in the Paqueta goal. But, well, who's going to win this one? We're only 7 minutes away from 90. David Moyes will be, without doubt, the happier manager to get a point.
Oh, yes. My prediction of 1-1's looking
it's looking very good
at the minute.
Yeah, the point would take West Ham above Leeds. They'd be fifth from bottom, but of course Leeds play tomorrow in a big game down the bottom against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. Thomas Souček's gone down injured in the meantime, so play has been halted momentarily. Time Forever Blowing Bubbles is echoing around St James's Park from the visiting West Ham United fans. It's a long old trip, isn't it, from East London. Here's Emerson for West Ham. He's won a corner. Southampton had an even longer trip, didn't they? So just about as long as he gets in the Premier League from Southampton to Newcastle. It was, of course, in the Carabao Cup.
Yes.
And they ended up getting knocked out. Joe Linton scored in the first leg, and then Longstaff's double in the second took Newcastle to Wembley. But they're thinking about Premier League points here. They're also thinking about not conceding from this corner, which is going to be taken by Declan Rice. 6 minutes to go at St James's, one apiece. Here's Rice's delivery. Good header by Byrne. Back in by Bowen. And then a looping header from Ings, but always going wide.
Yeah. I mean, credit to West Ham. They're still pushing, you know. They don't mind committing a couple of players forward.
Still two balls on the pitch at the moment. Did you see that clip? Was it Feyenoord's goalkeeper?
Yes.
It prevented an opponent from taking a quick throw-in by throwing the spare ball onto the pitch. So they were doing it very unsporting, but you have to sort of almost kind of admire it, really. Very inventive. Didn't go down well at all with the opposition, but it was a good clip. If you can find it, it's on YouTube. Here it's 1-1. A win would be huge for either of these teams. Manchester United winning against Crystal Palace earlier with Casemiro sent off and Marcus Rashford scoring again, are currently 2 points above Newcastle, and that would change, of course, if they can get a winner here. Headed away by Johnson from the long ball in. Here's Murphy. And now Longstaff. West Ham deal with it. Touched by Ings, but then given away. And Newcastle edge of the penalty area. Try and work the ball forward. It's come out to Murphy, who clips it in. And enough of a deflection there to take it kindly into the gloves of the 37-year-old Pole, Lukasz Fabianski, who clings on. And West Ham are very, very close to what would be a terrific point for them. Only their 6th on the road this season. It'd be 1 win and 3 draws. Here's Ings. Can he make it even better? Not quite. It's cleared by Newcastle. Here's Sofal finding Rice. Rice with 2 men around him. Tries to find Bowen. But it's judged well by Byrne and neatly worked out of play by Newcastle United. Longstaff finds Wilson. And now it's Fabian Schär. Here is Longstaff again. And Byrne into Elliot Anderson, the youngster, 20 years of age. He's had a loan spell at Bristol Rovers. He's a Scottish under-21 international. Long ball forward towards Wilson, but Aguirre is able to shepherd it away and use up a few more vital seconds for West Ham United. It'll be a hammer blow if they were to concede late. The Hammers, if you'll excuse the pun. But Eddie Howe's men are determined to try and win this one. West Ham seem more happy to settle for a draw. Eddie Howe is scratching his chin.
Well, he doesn't, looking at the bench, I mean, it's hard to know. You know, he doesn't have Isaac, does he? He doesn't have that other goal-scoring option to call upon.
Yeah. Free kick to Newcastle United. We're inside the last 3 minutes at St James's. Added time, of course, on top of that. The referee's unhappy with the taking of the free kick, and then it's kicked away by Fornals. I'm not sure what he didn't like about that. Maybe the ball wasn't stationary, I don't know. But it is now back in play with Kieran Trippier, who finds Schär. Schär drives it forward. It's easily intercepted, though, by Aguirre, who for me has probably been the man of the match. He's pretty close to it, if not. Can't think of too many players who've had a better game than him.
Well, he made a great challenge, didn't he, on Wilson?
Yeah, that was a goal-saving tackle for sure. Here's Anderson finding Gordon. Gordon looking to weave his way across the edge of the area. Anderson again. He's going away from goal at the moment. He's got support here from Longstaff, or rather Byrne, I should say. Longstaff, Byrne and Anderson are all very tall, very blonde, and look very similar from this distance.
Well, it's tough to see the numbers
the numbers
on the back of the shirts.
Oh, it's one of my constant complaints about Newcastle. I just don't understand why they have red numbers on black and white stripes. It's not just us. I mean, it's not good for the fans. They can't see the numbers properly. It's There should be a panel like they do in the Champions League, and they insist on it. Like teams like Juventus have to wear a white panel with clear numbers on it. Anyway, we've managed so far. So here's Byrne. And now Gordon tries to find a pass and is fouled by Johnson in doing so. So it's a free kick to Newcastle United. We're in the last minute of the 90. Don't forget tomorrow, Nottingham Forest against Leeds at 1:30, followed by Tottenham against Manchester City. City can close the gap on Arsenal at the top to 2 points were they to win. Tottenham will be glad, I think, that Newcastle United aren't winning, because were Newcastle to get a late winner here, they would be 6 points above Tottenham in the battle for a top 4 finish. Spurs will be without Antonio Conte, their manager, who's had a gallbladder operation. We wish him all the best. Here's Danny Ings bashing it away upfield for West Ham. Underneath it is Trippier with a very good square header to Jacob Murphy. Just waiting to hear how much extra time will be added on. Murphy's been toppled over by a West Ham defender, so it's going to be a free kick as we enter stoppage time. It's a yellow card for Aguirre. There are 3 minutes to be added on by the fourth official, Simon Hooper.
Well, they had a late goal, didn't they, of Isaac not too long ago?
Yes, yep, they did. It was decisive in a narrow win against Fulham.
Well, from their last opportunity in a free kick like this, Callum Wilson had a glorious chance with his head.
Going to get another West Ham substitution in a moment. Looks like Soufal has gone down with cramp, so he is limping off, the Czech Republic international. His evening is over. And it looks like, is that Flynn Downs, I think, is going to come on, who is a young midfield player, boyhood West Ham fan. He's on, but only for 3 minutes or so. We've had a minute of stoppage time, but barely anything's happened with that substitution, so we'll probably go into a 94th minute. Newcastle have an opportunity here from a free kick, which Kieran Trippier will take midway inside the West Ham half, wide on the right-hand side. It falls for Bowen, who knocks it away. Trippier backtracking under pressure here from Fornals, but does well to control and manages to pick out Anderson, who goes driving forward. Here's Longstaff. And then touched by Botman. Oh, Burns giving it away. That could be costly. Bowen is steaming forward, but he's got very little support. And Byrne, who made the initial error,
surely from Gordon.
Well, he's atoned for his error there, Byrne, by tidying up. Now it's Joe Linton. There is still time. Oh, Gordon for once. It's been a very lively cameo from Anthony Gordon, but he's made a mess of that. His control let him down and the ball's gone out of play.
I think the referee's made a mess of this. I mentioned about a few things going West Ham's way. I mean, Anthony Gordon clearly pulls back Jared Bowen here as he's breaking, and I mean, they got away with that.
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Well, we're up to the 3 minutes, but there'll be another one, I'm sure. Aguirre is in conversation with referee Peter Banks. It's all smiles, so there's no bad feeling there. It looks like a point apiece, so Newcastle will be above Tottenham by 4 and behind Manchester United by 2 in that 4th spot. West Ham United would be just a point above the drop zone. Only 4 points separating West Ham 5th from bottom and Southampton bottom. It is so congested there. Crystal Palace, you sense, might get sucked into it. Leicester were winners today. Forest play tomorrow. Wolves with a big win.
It's congested in this box as well. I mean, this is the final action, really, for Newcastle. Trippier's going to pump this into the box.
He is. They're all lined up on the edge, waiting for Kieran Trippier's delivery. Needs a West Ham head on it. They do that. Here's Gordon. Well intercepted by Rice. There could be a counter here. It's Declan Rice finding Pablo Fornals. Rice has gone on a run ahead of him. And here is Rice. He tries to tease it on to Bowen. There's just a little bit too much on it. And that is it. Full time at St James's Park. West Ham United get only their 6th away point of the season, with Newcastle hoping to go third but not able to do so courtesy of a game that finishes level. Callum Wilson on 3 minutes for Newcastle gave them the perfect start after Joe Willock had a goal disallowed even earlier, but West Ham equalised through Lucas Paquetá, ending Newcastle's 6-match run without conceding a goal, and it has finished Newcastle United 1, West Ham United 1 on Premier League Live.
Oh, it's another chance. Oh, West Ham have conceded immediately again. This time it'll count. It's Callum Wilson running onto a through ball. What an extraordinary start. That's